Hi guys, Machine back this time with Auguste Massonnat. How was that? Was that good?
It was good, actually, yeah.
Oh, yes.
For a Brit, you did pretty good there.
Thank you. Right, it's Room on Fire, and I mean the fact that you guys are now boasting the majority of the CS talent pool under your brand. I just wanted to ask you a little bit about like kind of when did this idea start? When did you sit there with Anders and go, dude, I want to make it like I want to make Room on Fire a thing.
This was, let's say this was, well, basically because I started out before Anders, right, in esports. And so when I came over, we basically worked with James Too Good Harding. That was DreamHack Winter. That was a long time ago. 2010 basically is when we started to actually come up with the idea for the Good Studio, right? And so the idea for the Good Studio was to get the best commentators from each game under one house and create content and have fun. We did that. I lived there for like a year and a half, 2 years. It was great. Ups and downs, obviously, because when you're living with like 10 guys in the same house, you're gonna want to shank somebody after a while. Yeah. So, but you know, that was a great like formative experience for me, and it also gave me a lot of insight into what was happening with other casting scenes, right? StarCraft 2, Dota 2, all of these I all of a sudden I had like a crash course history lesson, and also got to watch it live. You know, like, all right, this is commentary, this is the history of commentary, this is where we're going with commentary, and so when Anders and I flipped over to CS, like when we started doing CS, it was right from the start. I was like, okay, Anders and I are going to work our asses off, right, and really try to establish this as quickly as possible. But in the back of my head, right from the beginning, I was just like, okay, as soon as we get to the point where CS:GO is really going somewhere, and DreamHack Winter 2013 was really like the point where I was like, okay, this is real. This is going to become something real. So how do we start thinking, how to avoid when there's going to be multiple commentators, how to avoid them all despising each other and trying to shank each other in the back, like what happened with other scenes.
Are you talking about other scenes in particular?
I might be, right? So, but like, how do we avoid that, right? Because I think like the CS commentary scene, we're incredibly lucky that everybody gets along so well, and that there is such an abundance of work where we haven't even gotten to the point where we have to start being careful about that, because everybody's got a job, right? It's when we start to go the StarCraft 2 or the Dota 2 route where there are going to be less events, where it's going to get interesting to see, like, you know, how things play out with the commentators. And so I tried to nip that in the bud early on and say, okay, what happens if we manage to get everybody under one house? Then everybody stands to benefit, even if they aren't at the event, everybody stands to benefit from Room on Fire flying the flag at the event.
And so, Room on Fire house coming?
I wish. The difference with CS is that everybody's got a life. I mean, it appeals to an older. It's just like the players, right? You don't have team houses for CS. They tried. It doesn't work because Forrest has got a mortgage and a girlfriend. He doesn't need to, like, you know, like, right? Players have got bills. They're further on in life. They've already, you know, moved away from like the whole idea. Like they're trying to live a life while competing. And so, and for CS, it's the same thing. Everybody, you know, like you live in London now. You managed to move back. Henry, he's looking to buy a place in London.
Right? He has actually.
Yeah, that's right. He did actually. So it's like, you know, everybody's like trying to actually like live their lives. So originally, I wanted to have like that white label studio. Same thing as for the Good Studio, where it's just like, okay, maybe if we can get just a few guys into Stockholm, then we can have a studio and we can create content out of there. And then we can, like, if we do content, certain kinds of content, we can just fly people in for a day and do the content, and then like they fly back home to London or whatever, right?
It sounds amazing.
But that's like my long-term vision, is to get it to that point where we're creating content regularly. Because that's the idea. It's like, it's a content creation house, but it's also a promotion house. So I want to be able to go to tournament organizers, events, etc., and promote their events through everybody who's in Room on Fire, right? Say, hi, we have this much reach. You know, we want to try and like make it so that more people know about your event, so that your event is more of a success, right? That's one angle. And then I also just want to be able to just, come up with fun content that we can do, get people involved with, find sponsorship for it, right? And that's kind of like how I want Room on Fire to start developing.
Awesome stuff. So that's Room on Fire. One final question for you, Auguste, is, I don't know if you have one, but if I was to ask you for a game you will never forget, a game you casted in Counter-Strike that you will never forget, is there one? I mean, you've had moments, there's been moments, there's been rounds, but is there a game as a whole? I mean, I know that is like an absurd question, because there's probably like 16.
No. And it's for the wrong reasons. Okay. But like Olaf Boost is always going to stand out, because that was so dramatic, and it put so much into question for me personally, as far as, was I in the wrong to get so excited when I first saw it?
Why?
Because for Anders and I, we got so wrapped up in the energy of that moment, of like this whole stadium just going ham, and like you're watching the teams and everything, and it was just like this tornado kind of just wrapped us up in it, and we went with it. And was I in the wrong for like not call? Is it my responsibility as a commentator to call it out? Is it the tournament organizer's responsibility to say, hey, by the way, this is like breaking the game? You know, like afterwards, it was like a lot of self-reflection with that match and my commentary in that match and like how Anders and I carried ourselves in that match. You know, where it's just like, do I need to be more aware of things or not just get so emotional and caught up in the emotion and just run with the emotion? I don't know. There was like
That's not your job, though. Your job isn't to sit there and be like the rule man.
I know, but like you're still in the back of your head. You're still thinking these things. And at that time, it was like a real pause for like self-reflection. I don't know. I felt like I felt really conflicted about the whole thing because coming up with the boost was sick, right? And it broke the game, yes, but it was awesome watching it.
And when they're like literally 15 rounds, they can't lose. They have to win every single round.
It was like this perfect set of circumstances that allowed for Fnatic to do something incredible, right? But then afterwards, where you calm down within like that half hour afterwards, I was just sitting there thinking like, whoa, what was that, right? And there was so that was a round that was very interesting. And then I guess Very Games versus Nipped winner 2013. That game is that nuke map. It's just like that game is going to be, for me, some of the best, highest quality CS that we've ever seen. So yeah, I mean, then I can have like regular games like that, right? Regular games, but still like games where were just like amazing and the story going into that. Very Games and Nip at that time, they were like, I was a massive Very Games fanboy. You know, Existence, Shoxy, MBK. Like I loved the French scene, and I was just watching that. And then they were going up against Nip, who were these monsters. Man, that whole match was unreal. So I mean, and then I could go, yeah.
It just keeps going, yeah. And I said that would be the last question, but you've just kind of you triggered something in my mind. You said the best CS you've ever watched, 2013. However, we've been saying this for ages that CS is getting higher quality and there's better players. You don't think so? Why is that? I mean, so you think that like, the Forest of 2013, the NBK of 2013 is still playing better CS then than they are now?
For me, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I still get hype about aim, and I still get hype about just like the individual skill that we're seeing in this game. Like, the ceiling is so ridiculously high now when it just comes to like individual skill of these players. But I'm not gonna lie when I say that I do miss Pronax coming up with crazy smokes that were like these sick strats where it's just like, what was that? You know, my mind was just blown. It's a different thing from watching someone just, yes, okay, that was incredible how they got those 3 headshots in quick succession, right? And that takes some insane skill, simple with the dropping off, stuff like that. Like that's wild, right? And you're gonna get hype. But I feel like these days I'm missing that hype that I had where it was just like, I just got my mind blown by that strat. That was so sick. Like, how did you come up with that? You set this trap where, I mean, I still remember Pronax getting so pissed at Mouse because Mouse used, all right, this is old Inferno, right? And there was a one-way smoke that you could drop on the car and you could crouch behind the car and see right through Banana, right? And Mouse used it in like some ridiculous, like useless qualifier match or something. And Pronax was just like so tilted. He was going into DreamHack where he was like, I've been saving that smoke for a month and you retards using it. Okay. It was just like, but like stuff like that, right?
You're talking strategy. That's not necessarily skill and like kind of the quality of the CS, surely. Or do you think there's a positive correlation between the amount of strategy and the quality of CS? You think like they're going to go hand in hand?
Now, I mean, well, we're just seeing the progression, right, of the game. Because now all of these teams, they have analysts. And so this is the really difficult thing. It used to be that, Pronax could spend a week, a month preparing strats, finally tuning, finally crafting these strats, right? But now the game, like you've seen so much of these strats, right? So now it comes down to fine-tuning some of these already existing ones. Coming up with something really fresh and new, it takes time, it's difficult. But not only that, it's like an opportunity cost. Are you going to invest a lot of time into coming up with like a very interesting strat that you're only going to get to use once? Because all of these analysts, these teams, all the top teams basically have analysts. Their whole job is to sit there and break down every single round of their team's play and what their opponents do. And so I've talked to several in-game leaders, and these in-game leaders, they say, I'll use a strat once, and then it turns into a mind game because then I know that the next time I play these guys, or the next time even another team is going to see this smoke, they're going to be thinking, oh, that strat already, boom. Like you can't even use the same strat twice. So it's just there's a lot of, it's like the game has evolved due to the resources available to the teams now, where for a strategic kind of play, it's really hard to get it going. And so now it really does rely heavily on a few basic cookie cutter strats that you're going to be able to really branch off from no matter what happens, and aim. You're going to count on Snacks banging heads off left and right.
And I mean, that's like when I spoke to Fnatic, they just said, we spent our entire bootcamp, our star prep, just trying to be better individuals because that's what it's become. Perfect.
I mean, you look at like Cologne 2015, 2000. I mean, basically all of these periods in time where you had utterly dominant teams. A lot of it was due to Olaf Meister getting more kills with the Tech 9 than he got with a rifle, or LDCZ, right? You know, just barreling onto a site. No matter what they had, rifles, pistols, didn't matter. They moved as like this killer unit. There wasn't anything subtle about that. You know, Happy says, "Oh, I broke the game." It's like, no, you figured out that I have insane aimers. If I put them together in a death ball. If I put 3 or 4 of them together, they're going to wreck whatever's in front of them. So, I mean, that's where the game shifted, because teams are only going to get better at using pistols that get one-shot, headshot, close range. That's obscenely broken. And so, hey, if I've got Olaf, one of the best aimers in the world, I put a $500 pistol in his hand, and he's going to go and Shrek that fool who spent $5,000 on rifles. I'm going to do that every round, right?
Valve are here somewhere. You can go find them, talk to them about that.
We've had talks with Valve, man. Like,
He's trying. He's trying. All right. This has been Semmler of The Machine, and that's for Yahoo Esports. Thanks for watching.